Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. I'm so excited, man. I got the shipment of the first vacuum blender to be officially released and available in the USA. And it's now available at DiscountJuicers.com. Before, you could buy it anywhere else in the nation. Unfortunately, we got an air shipment. I got my samples and we have 10 extra units to sell at this time. More stock will be coming in the beginning of May. So if you want one, we could ship it out like today or tomorrow, depending on what time you order it, and we don't ship on the weekends. And you could have a vacuum blender real soon. Now you might be thinking, John, what is a vacuum blender? Maybe you saw some of my other videos where I talk about the vacuum blending technology. It is simply amazing. Now you might think, John, I already got a Vitamix, man. I don't need a vacuum blender. What's the difference, right? It's just another high-powered blender. You know, I mean, there's a lot of high-powered blenders. Whether you got a Vitamix, a Blend Tech, you know, all the other brands and knockoff brands. You know, this is something entirely new and different. It's kind of like, I like to compare them to, like, you know, when the high-speed centrifugal ejection juicers or non-ejection juicers came out. You know, they ran at a high speed. They actually shove a lot of air into the juice, and they lower the nutritional quality in the juice. This has been proven by scientific studies. And that's why I like the slow juicer, which was a revolution in juicing technology when the slow juicers came out. Now, in the year 2017, and I think this should have happened much earlier, the new vacuum blending technology is out, and this will revolutionize blending that we know it, right? It's so much more superior to blending, to standard blending, than anything you guys have ever seen before. So I'm glad that the future is here now with the TriBest DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. Not only is this a vacuum blender, there's other vacuum blenders that will be appearing on the market, but they are not built to commercial, heavy-duty specifications. So this unit was built to ETL sanitation standards, which is equivalent to NSF standards, and is currently pending completing the process, and they will be hopefully certified soon. That being said, it's available now if you guys are home users, and if you need that commercial sanitation, I would encourage you guys to wait a little bit. Or of course, some places are not as finicky and don't require the certificate, but this one should be certified soon. So yeah, that's what I like. It's a heavy-duty vacuum blender. It's actually 2.5 plus peak horsepower. This is more powerful than a Vitamix, which is touted as being 2.2 peak horsepower. But you know, the power in the blender is not everything. It's about a lot of things. It's about not only the power of the blender, the high speed or the RPMs of the blender, about the blade sharpness. It's also about how the container is developed. But even above all that, right, what trumps all those, in my opinion, and as you'll learn in this episode, when I try to explain these to you guys, is the vacuum technology. All else being equal, you know, something that has the same power but has vacuum is going to blow away even the highest power blenders without vacuum. And you'll learn why in just a few minutes. And even some blenders that are vacuum blenders that are maybe not as powerful will even blow away more powerful blenders. And that's why the vacuum feature is so critical in this day and age. And if you guys are just blending up your margaritas with your blender, honestly, you guys probably don't even need a vacuum blender. But if you're somebody like me that got into eating healthfully for their health, right? It was important. I almost lost my life, right? I want to maximize each bite of food, each morsel of food I put into my body. I want to give my body the highest quality, highest nutritional quality food that I can. I mean, I even spend many hours a day in my garden to grow my own food, because literally the commercial food system is not growing your own food, growing the best food. And as you guys know, once you harvest the food and it's picked and shipped and transport, you know, the food quality and nutrition in the food start to decline over time. And I'm not going to say the food that you're buying at your local grocery store is bad. The fact of the matter is, it could be a lot better by growing your own food and not harvesting it until minutes before you eat it. Just like I did today, I made a green smoothie actually in the DynaBlend, picking the highest quality food from my backyard that I grow in trace minerals and using microbes and worm castings and rock dust, all these cool things. Have high quality food. I pick it, bring it in, and then put it in a DynaBlend blender with the vacuum technology to preserve the high levels of nutrients. Even if I grew my own food in my backyard, I picked it, brought it in, and then put it in a standard Vitamix, which I've used for years, that lowers the nutritional quality of food, maybe even more so than food being shipped to you. And I know you guys, many of you guys can't even grow your own food. You don't have a space to do that, and so I would encourage you guys to grow your own microgreens. But by, if you are into it for your health, get a vacuum blender so you can preserve more of the nutrition that's already in the food instead of losing it, right? So I just try to teach you guys the best, and I'm glad that I now have a vacuum blender that makes it easy for me to vacuum blend each and every day when I'm blending. And trust me, unless I'm doing a demo video now, I will not be ever not vacuum blending. I will always be using the vacuum feature unless I am unable to for some reason. And some ingredients just aren't really going to vacuum blend. That we might learn in a little bit. But anyways, now that I share with you guys why vacuum blending is so important to preserve the nutrients, it also will make your blended smoothies taste better. When you blend at a high speed, you're oxidizing some of the nutrients, which are some of the taste flavors, right? And so when you vacuum blend, if you guys are one of those chefs and whatnot and make all these cool things that taste really good, right? You're going to learn that you can actually use less herbs and spices in a vacuum blender because it's going to preserve more of those phytonutrients, those flavor profiles in the foods, which is also amazing. Another thing that I hope to show you guys in this episode is that it also changes the texture when you vacuum blend, right? The texture is going to be a better texture. It's going to be more of a complete blend than, leaving big particles and chunks, right? And you guys will see this as I'm doing some of the demos today. Another thing that's really interesting is that when you're emulsifying oils and, blending fats, whether that's, oils, nuts and seeds, or coconut or avocado, right? It's going to kind of make it a little bit more fluffy instead of a lot more dense. So this is going to give you a nice, better mouthfeel and texture to your blends. So, this is going to be completely amazing, completely revolutionary. I know I'm doing a lot of talking. What I want to get next into is actually opening this box up and sharing with you guys actually what comes with the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. And it's different than a lot of vacuum blenders because this blender will give you the option to do the vacuum blending or just do the standard blending super simple, super easily. So let's go ahead and open up this box here. All right, inside, lots of stuff. First, maybe we'll go ahead and pull out the motor base here if I could grab it. All right, here's the motor base, nice and heavy here. And they consulted with commercial chefs that own restaurants to design this blender so that it meets all commercial certification standards, but also they designed it really well. So number one, this is not one of those commercial blenders that has a small little base. This base is heavy duty. It's nice and big, so it's nice and stable, so it's not going to tip over or rock over or anything like that when you're blending. In addition, they have an easy and convenient on-off switch located right here on the side instead of on the back or hidden like many blenders do. So you can easily turn it on and off if you need to for emergency, or you could reach it, turn it on and off when you're done blending to conserve power. In addition, there's a little interlock switch here on the top of the blender that does not allow the blender to come on unless the carafe is on top of the blender. So this is a safety feature, especially important if you have kids or people that are not listening. They flip it on and then this thing is whirring super fast. In addition, they have some very easy controls that we'll go ahead and explain in a little bit. But basically, it's all computer controlled and has a countdown timer, so you could set it and walk away, forget it, come back. It's going to turn itself off. If you don't want to do that manual timed mode, you have 3 buttons, which make it really simple. It has a blend button, a pulse button, and a combo button. So these run 3 different cycles. Each push of the button is 30 seconds. If you push it once, it's going to run for 30 seconds and turn off. If you press the same button twice, it's going to run that cycle for a minute and then turn off. If you want to run it for a minute and a half, hit it 3 times. So this is by far the easiest way to control your blender because it will vary the speeds depending on the program you're using. And of course, there's also the manual mode. So if you just press the button, it turns on, and then you could use the control dial like an old-fashioned volume control on a TV to crank it from slow to high. Super simple. And blender is actually 2.5 peak cord power, and on the label here it says it's 11 amps, 120 volts for the US here, 60 hertz. And unlike many blenders that are being made in China, this is actually a quality unit made in Korea. And actually I visited the factory where these guys were made. In addition, on the bottom here, it actually has a nice cord storage. You can just wrap up this cord on the bottom and hide it when you're done. And you could unwrap it and just have it just long enough so that you could reach your wall plug. You know, I know a lot of cords are always a fixed length, and that's kind of a hassle because you got all this cord hanging out. So this is going to look nice and clean. In addition, it has nice thick rubber feet that are going to insulate it on top of the countertop. And there's also a nice, venting in the back and on the bottom so that you could get proper airflow to cool the motor properly. You know, so you can use this for extended uses in commercial kitchens or even in your home. So yeah, that's the base there. Oh, and then also it has a metal contact point here, metal on metal, instead of some vacuum blenders, believe it or not, have plastic on plastic contact points for the splines and the shaft, and I think that's just a bit ridiculous. All right, next part of this commercial vacuum blender here is the carafe. This is one nice carafe right here. Let's go ahead and return this box a little bit. But this is one nice carafe. One of the things I like about this carafe is even though it's nice and big, it's actually nice and light. This thing weighs about 1 pound, 10 ounces, so it's really light. Like the Vitamix carafe, way heavier than this guy here. I also like that this is holds up to 64 ounces, so it's nice and large to make smoothies for a big family. In addition, it basically has a nice bearing here on the bottom that's a heavy-duty bearing. And so it's probably not going to, fail on you anytime soon. In addition, inside the carafe here, they basically have a 4-prong blade, which is really nice right there in the bottom, all stainless steel. This carafe also is made out of the Eastman Triton material. And right on the bottom, it's printed BPA free. So this is BPA free. It also has a really nice pour spout that they developed really nice, because I know some blenders, I pour the stuff and it just dribbles everywhere. This actually pours really nicely. This is actually only marked up to 32 ounces, but if you fill it all the way up, it's rated for 64 ounces anyways. Now another really cool and unique feature that's unlike any other blender I've ever seen is actually they have a built-in temperature sensor in here. And you guys probably can't even see that. You see where it says DynaPro, so that's just the standard printing on there. But down below the DynaPro, there's a little blue star, right? So that blue star is a heat-sensitive blue star, and if the temperature rises above 118 degrees, that blue star, instead of being blue, will turn white on you, to let you know that your inside your carafe is more than 118 degrees. And you're thinking, John, why is 118 degrees important? Well, that's because there's people that are known as raw foodists, and these raw foodists want to eat the foods that are been heated no hotter than 118 degrees, because it's 118 degrees is where they say the enzymes in the food start to degrade, as well as probably other nutrients start to degrade potentially, and that makes the food less nutritious. So while this machine, you could run it on a time cycle for up to 5 minutes straight, which will definitely get you a nice hot steaming soup if you wanted to do that. You could also run it just long enough to get it up to 118 degrees and then cut the machine off so your food is not too hot. It preserves more nutrients, and of course, you're not going to burn your mouth by eating things that are way too hot. So yeah, I think that's all the main features of the carafe here. Also, I do like it has a nice little handy handle here. Now, another feature of this carafe, besides just the carafe, is the lid. So, I've gotten a lot of blenders actually over the years. I've just got samples of 3 blenders just within the past couple months here that I've been testing, using, which each blender always has their pros and cons. And one of my biggest pet peeves on blenders is when I pick up the carafe top, right? I don't know if some of these guys that design these blenders actually use the blenders and clean them, because some of these blender tops are just an insane nightmare to clean. Some of these blender tops actually have really big nooks and crannies that you can't really get in there easily with a dish brush or a sponge. It just makes it impossible to clean. But I'm glad the people that try this are aware of this and actually made a blender carafe lid that actually has no major nooks and crannies. It's one of the easiest lids I've ever seen to clean, so I could easily get in there with my dish brush and clean it all out without having any problem areas of things getting stuck in there. In addition, it has a nice sealing lid here. So there's a little gasket on here that is removable and you can clean underneath it, unlike some other blenders on the market. And basically there's two little areas for it to lock and seal, so that you're going to get a complete seal each and every time, and you're not going to get any kind of liquid or anything coming up out of the blender like I've actually had on some other blenders before. In addition, if you are not using the vacuum blending feature, you could actually remove this little top piece right here, and actually you could add things in while you're blending. Of course, if you are vacuum blending, you need to keep the chamber sealed, in which case there's this little top that actually has a nice O-ring gasket that you could actually close this, and it seals quite well. And then you're going to go ahead and put the lid on the top here. Has a nice seal, and then the main feature that allows you to do the vacuum sealing is in the middle of this removable lid here, there's a little rubber plunger. It kind of moves up and down. It kind of reminds me of like on your kitchen sink, you have that thing to stop up all the water, so the water can't drain, so you can actually do your dishes in your sink. That's kind of what this does. This goes down to basically pull out the air. It goes up actually to pull out all the air out of the container, and then once there's vacuum in the container, it goes down so that none of the vacuum or that none of the air that's been pulled out gets back in. So yeah, that's basically the carafe. So this is the blender right here, and unlike some other blenders, this blender can be put on any direction, and any direction it is put on, the little built-in safety interlock switch that's on each side of the carafe hits the little safety switch in here and will allow the blender to turn on. So other things in the box here, looks like we got the DynaPro instruction manual right here and the warranty card right here that you're going to mail in a TriVest. Now I do encourage you guys to register the TriVest warranty online. It's going to save you guys a stamp actually. But this instruction book is in many different languages. It's actually in English, French, German, and Spanish. So it's quadlingual, if that's a word. It basically goes over all the different parts as well as the operation, cleaning and maintenance, troubleshooting, and you know, where to go for service. But good basic information. Basically, I'd be telling you guys most of the things that's actually contained in the instruction manual, but I do encourage always for you guys to read the instruction manual and be sure to register your TriVest product to ensure you get the warranty. So I'm thinking, John, what is the warranty? Well, the amazing thing is about the DynaPro blender is that it has the longest warranty that I'm aware of in the blending industry, right? This one has a revolutionary, aside from being revolutionary in the vacuum blending, it has a 15-year warranty. Can you say that again with me? 15-year warranty for home consumer use. This is completely amazing. I mean, up until a couple years ago, the Vitamix and the BlendTech had a 7-year or 8-year warranty, depending on which model, which brand. And some of the Vitamixes still only have a 7 or 8-year warranty. Now, on their new line, they have a 10-year warranty, but TriVest is so confident in their commercial quality, commercial built, commercial electric certified blender, they're giving you guys a 15-year warranty. Think about that, right? In 15 years... if this blender fails due to no fault of your own, the bearing goes out or something like that, they're going to cover it under warranty for you and send you the replacement parts to fix your machine so that you don't have to keep buying another disposable blender. Like, there's many of them out there. I mean, you go down to your local department store, buy a blender, you know, yes, it's less expensive, but it's got a short 90-day warranty, maybe 1-year warranty if you're lucky. Number one, it doesn't have a vacuum feature. Number two, it's very underpowered and it's going to leave big chunks of food in your blended mixture. Number three, it's going to oxidize some of the nutrients in there. And if you're into this, you know, like I am for my health, you want to maximize every mouthful, every morsel of food you put in your body to give your body the biggest advantage you guys could have, so you guys could be the healthiest. You could be on an anti-aging diet, and it's some of the phytochemicals and phytonutrients in the fruits and vegetables that help you stay young. They also help you fight disease, whether that's things like cancer or diabetes and heart disease. It allows you to have more energy and get the results you want with weight loss more effectively with the nutrients. There have been studies where they feed rats, you know, purple carrot juice. And it's some of these beneficial polyphenols, antioxidants in the carrot juice that allows the rats to heal and lose weight, control their blood sugar, right? And these properties in the foods can be destroyed when you're heating them at high temperatures, when you're cooking your foods, when you're aerating them in a standard blender or even using a high-speed blender. For the best results, I do recommend using a slow juicer or a vacuum blender. And if you're wondering, John, what's better, a slow juicer or a vacuum blender? Well, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes. I'm going to have an episode comparing high-speed juicing, slow juicing, standard blending, and vacuum blending so you guys can learn the full differences and learn which one is best. Now, my summary is this. The best, of course, is slow juicing and vacuum blending. Which is better between those two? They each have their pros and cons, and I would encourage you guys to get both a slow juicer and a vacuum blender because those are the two best technologies that you guys could own in your kitchen to transform, to change your life, to regain your health that I've ever seen. Anyways, the other thing I want to talk about is the TriBest warranty. This is a super critical, super important part. If you guys are going to buy a DynaPro blender or any other TriBest product, I want to encourage you guys to buy the product from an authorized TriBest dealer. Super critical. There are unauthorized dealers selling TriBest products. When you buy an unauthorized, you buy from an unauthorized TriBest dealer that is not authorized, you may not be getting the 15-year warranty. So yeah, you might save $15, $50, but you might be buying a gray market, black market machine, and then you won't get the warranty on it. And that would be sad to lose out on the warranty just to save another $10 or $15, right? I do want to say that we here at Discount Juicers are an authorized TriBest distributor, dealer, and anything you buy from us will have the TriBest warranty guaranteed. And in addition, besides just having the standard warranty, you're going to also have me on your side as your liaison between TriBest. TriBest respects my opinions, and all I could say is this. All I could say is that any of my customers that have had a problem with TriBest, that TriBest does not take care of them, you just got to let me know, and as long as it's a legitimate warranty claim, TriBest is not taking care of you, I'll say, hey TriBest, what's going on? Why aren't you taking care of my customer? And usually that's all I have to say, and then they take care of my customer, right? But if you guys buy from any other big box store, right, those guys at the big box stores don't care about your health. They just want to sell you a product, right? And yes, okay, I'm not going to lie. I'd love to sell you that blender, that juicer, but more importantly, I know that these appliances work because I use these in my daily life. Every day I am juicing or blending when I'm home. And I can't say this for other retailers or big box stores. Those guys, I mean, they're not into health, right? And I make these videos and hope you guys learn from this video and appreciate my videos. And if you guys have learned from my videos and appreciate my videos and want me to make more, I would encourage you guys to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Not only am I an authorized dealer, but your purchase allows me to continue to make these educational videos that other companies are just simply not doing. And I think they should, you know, and make them different than mine if they can, you know, so to show you guys the truth. And that's just what I'm here to show you guys. I'm here to show you guys the truth. And when more vacuum blenders come out in the future, which is going to be probably middle of the year, I'm going to have comparisons between this one and the other one, and the other ones that come out. And each one is going to have their pros and cons. Which one's going to be best? Well, it depends, right? It depends what the best means to you. At present time, I like the TriBest one. It's the first to market. It's built to commercial certification standards. It's made for restaurants. And, you know, even if you have a large family or just a person of one, you could do it. And it's so flexible. I've been playing with this for the last couple of days, and you're going to be amazed when I get into the demo. So, yeah, I would appreciate you guys if you guys support me by making your purchase at Discount Juicers. So I thank you guys that have purchased from me in the past, and thank you guys in advance for those guys that will purchase from me in the future. And keep in mind, we do have a price match policy. We will match the price of any other authorized retailer that has the product in stock for the same exact product for the delivered price. All right? So, yeah, instruction manual in there. Last couple things. All right, cool. You get a stainless steel scoop here. So in the case that you want to do mixing in the carafe, you're not using the vacuum feature, you could actually use this stainless steel scoop, put it inside the carafe. It's not going to hit the blade. You can use it to push things in to the blade. So like you're doing nut butters, you need to kind of push that in. You could actually use this to scoop out your mixture once you're done blending. It's a nice stainless steel, heavy duty, and actually one of my favorite uses for this is actually using this device or this scooper to get the young coconut meat out of young coconuts. It works really well, all right? Now, in addition, you're probably thinking, John, how does a vacuum function work on this, right? Well, that's the other parts that are coming out, but before we pull out those parts, we're going to pull out these parts. You get a few of those extra little cap lids here that are on the little top, should this become damaged. You get like, let's see, how many of these guys are in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra ones. And then you have, let's see, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra gasket seals for this little lid right here that may wear out over time. So I'm glad TriBest is thinking ahead and giving you guys these inexpensive parts so that you guys can vacuum blend without incident. All right, so what we have next here in the box is actually a special vacuum pump that works with the TriBest DynaBlend to evacuate out the excess air in the carafe so you could blend in a reduced oxygen environment. How this works, it's very simple. You're going to go ahead and I would take the carafe off the blender base. You could do it on the blender base. I'm going to take it off. What I normally do is I fill up the carafe off the blender base, suck out all the air, and then I take this to the blender and then I proceed to blend. So because this unit is separate, you have the option of blending with or without the vacuum. I don't know why you'd want to blend without the vacuum unless it's something that you can't blend under vacuum. So anyways, how this works is you just take this unit, and this unit is battery operated, runs on 4 AA batteries. You're just going to go ahead and put it in here, line it up, make sure we have a nice tight seal in there. Looks like we're good. Then we're going to hit the white little button here on the vacuum pump, and I want you guys to listen to the pitch of the pump running. Can you guys hear that? It starts out high and then kind of gets lower. So you can hear as it gets lower, that's like it's pulling out more vacuum, and at a certain point you're going to want to stop. Depending on what you're blending, how fast, how big your carafe is, what you put in there, you may want to run this anywhere from 15 seconds to a minute. And that'll put a decent vacuum inside the chamber. You're going to then release the button, and then you could actually remove this. And then to check out, to make sure you have a vacuum, you can actually just pull this little, flap on this black stopper here and listen carefully. All right, that's the sound of freshness. We vacuumed out the air, changed the pressure in there, and when you blend in this fashion, there's a reduced oxygen, significantly reduced oxygen in there, and you're gonna have a whole different blending experience. All right. So the cool thing is about the TriBest DynaBlend is, unlike other blenders, this is a pump that works on a motor. If you don't want to use this, or maybe this goes out for some reason, they give you a backup plan, right? A hand pump. I don't know any other vacuum blender that's actually going to have a hand pump available, and this is quite handy. So they basically just give you a hand pump, which actually, this hand pump is actually more effective at evacuating out the excess air than the standard pump. This pump doesn't have a long throw, and this pump actually has a nice long throw. So this pump doesn't directly hook in to this container here, but they do give you a special adapter, which is the last part in the box, this adapter cable. And actually, I like the hand pump a lot better than the electric pump. Not only will I be saving batteries, I'll also be getting a little bit of a workout. Also, I feel like I'm actually doing something important and valuable, but more importantly for me is I'm going to be getting a bigger and a better vacuum actually on the container. So same thing, you're going to go ahead and take this, and this just fits in right in the top, just like that. Make sure you have a nice good seal. We're going to go ahead and move this box out of the way here. And then we can put the carafe over to this side here, and simply you're going to take this and you're just going to pump it. Super simple, super easy. Oh, check this out. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll probably put it up close. But I don't know if you guys can see, as I'm pumping, it's literally lifting up the flap inside there, because as I'm pumping, it lifts up the flap, pulls out the air, then the flap goes back down. But that's really cool. Then I just sit here and pump it. And I'm pumping out more air with each stroke than this guy could do, right? And at some point, you'll start to feel a pretty good percentage of resistance on the pump, and you'll know it's time to stop. Or it's time to stop when you get kind of tired, like, oh, John, I've been pumping for like a minute, I'm tired. Well, hey, after a minute, you're probably at the maximum peak, vacuum that you could pull on it. I can feel a really good resistance on this, and so I'm really feeling that. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop. And if I'm vacuuming with this, I mean, you could take this off. I like to kind of leave it on, but we got a really good seal on there. Now listen, this time, this vacuum seal is going to last longer than when we did it with the electric pump. Listen. Wow, I didn't time that, but that was a significant longer time for it to air out. So the thing to remember is this, right? If you want maximum pressure, right? I don't think you could any kind of electric pump will do that, right? And most other vacuum blenders that will be coming out have only an electric pump. So I really like this hand pump to get the maximum vacuum, which in turn will mean you're going to get the maximum nutritional quality because you're removing the highest percentage of oxygen in the kraft that you can. And it's the extra added oxygen in the kraft that does so much of the damage to the food, as you guys will see in some of the demos coming up. So the next thing I want to do is actually, besides just sharing with you guys the benefits of the DynaPro, and you guys taking my word for it, I like to put my money where my mouth is. And I like to show you guys in this video how it works with some demonstrations that you guys will see coming up. And I'll be comparing the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender to a Vitamix and show you guys probably why you don't want to be using your Vitamix anymore and the difference that using a high power vacuum blender can make. But more importantly, I want to show you guys and try to explain to you guys so you guys understand why it works. This is super critical and super important because if you don't understand why it works, you're pretty much not going to even want to get one, or you're not going to really understand why it's so beneficial. Alright, so the first step I want to do is actually show you guys the vacuum feature with standard marshmallows here, right? This will show you guys the power of why just simply vacuuming food before you blend it can be actually quite critical and actually quite important and why it's going to do a better job when blending, alright? So although I'm doing this demo with marshmallows, basically this happens to a lesser extent on any food that you'll put into the blender. So these are just standard marshmallows, no trickery going on. We're going to go ahead and cut open this package. Now I do not encourage you guys to eat marshmallows. They're probably one of the most unhealthy foods in the entire world, including being made out of GMO corn syrup, but they're definitely good for this demo here. So we're going to just go ahead and put in this whole bag there. So you guys can see if you had a standard blender, you'd put the marshmallows in, you'd put the top on. And when you put the top on, you want to make sure that these little two handles are, at least one of them is lined up with these two little marks here. Because if you put this on a jar, the vacuum feature will not work properly. And once you put it down, you're going to hear it press out some of the air in the chamber. And normally you would take this and then you would blend it up. Alright, and that's how a normal blender works, right? You're just blending the marshmallows. They're just basically at standard ambient atmospheric pressure. But what we want to do is we want to make it better. We want to put it under a vacuum. So let me show you guys what happens when we put the marshmallows under vacuum. And this is actually one of the ways why the vacuum blender is so efficient. Because check this out. Okay, I'm going to pump. One pump. Do you guys see anything happening inside the blender there? We'll move that up so you guys can see it real close there. Maybe we'll move it over here. Oh, right there. Second pump. You guys see anything happening? You guys see anything happening in there? If you look really closely, you'll see the marshmallows, they're growing. Maybe they're going to turn into that marshmallow man like on Ghostbusters. But look at this, I'm going to pump fast. Look at those marshmallows in there. You guys see those marshmallows? What are they doing? They're growing bigger. You're creating more food, more marshmallows. Actually, you're not. But what's happening is you're putting the marshmallows under vacuum. And what's happening is, because you're pulling out the air, it's basically enlarging the marshmallows. Let's see if we can keep pumping these marshmallows up, and let's see if we can get them to fill that entire chamber. You guys saw that maybe these marshmallows were only filling like maybe halfway, maybe 3/4 of the chamber. But as you guys can see, we're pumping these up, and now these marshmallows are totally puffed up, significantly bigger than they were before, almost filling this entire chamber. And the reason why the vacuum blending is so important is because when you vacuum, right, you're going to expand the fibers like we did on these marshmallows. And when you blend the fibers, when they're expanded, they're going to be cut up better with the blender blades, especially if they're a high-speed, high-power blender like the DynaPro blender, right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and release the vacuum. Wow, look at that, man. These marshmallows totally shrunk back down to even smaller than they were before we actually sucked out the air and put them under vacuum. So what a difference, man, from being almost full, just the volume of these marshmallows, to being all the way down. The next thing I want to do is I want to show you guys actually blending these marshmallows up under vacuum and show you guys actually what happens. So let's see here, we're going to go ahead and pour these out here. These are just, once again, standard marshmallows. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and pour about 16 ounces of just water into the vacuum blender. We're going to go ahead and then take all our marshmallows and put them into the blender there. We're going to go ahead and put our lid on. Make sure that's down. We're going to go ahead and put the pump on there, and now we're going to just pump this up. Now, if you're lazy, you don't want to use the pump, you could use that electric one. I like to use this one. But look at that. Are you guys watching those marshmallows in there? I'm seeing them. I'm seeing those marshmallows get bigger and expanding and growing. So we're expanding the fibers in the marshmallows. Even the marshmallows underneath the water line, check that out, right? These are expanding even ever so bigger. And if you look down in the underneath the water, right, we're seeing air bubbles come up in the water. We'll pull in a suction on the water, pull out some of the extra dissolved oxygen in the water. And look at this. These marshmallows were sitting like almost at the water line, and now they're almost filling the entire container. This is the power of the vacuum. And when we blend these marshmallows, because they are expanded, they're going to blend significantly better. All right, I think we vacuumed them up. This is completely full now. We're going to go ahead and remove this pump, and now we got the marshmallows under vacuum, and now we get the blend. So now I get to show you guys actually how easy it is to use the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender by TriBest. It might look a little bit complex, it's got all these buttons and knobs, but don't worry, it's super simple. Trust me, if I could figure it out, you guys could figure it out. You guys figure out your new cell phone with all the new apps and your new TV remote control, not too difficult. First thing is, they got a nice on and off switch on the side here. We're going to flip that on. It turns on. It does some self-checks to make sure it's good. It's good. Now the thing I want to remind you guys is if you try to use this button and press anything while the carafe is off the base, it will not turn on. This is a safety feature to prevent accidents or whatnot. So you're going to have to make sure this carafe is on. Now if the carafe is on and it's still not working, right? I'm pressing it, nothing happening. Make sure your carafe is properly seated. This fits nice and tight so that it's not going to, come ajar or tip over. But you do need to make sure that it's all the way down to make sure these pins are hitting the safety interlock switch so that now the blender could come on. So although there's all these buttons, it's very simple, easy to use. The easiest way is to actually just use this little dial control that has like little LED lights that light up from low power to high power. So to get this to start, there's a little arrow on here, a little like start and a pause or stop. So you just press this button once. It turns on, it blends, and you can crank it up to high speed. And then you could press it to turn it off, and we've massacred those marshmallows in there. The other thing you could do is you could press this little button here. So this is all manual. You turn it on, you turn this to make it go higher and lower, and then you press it once again to stop. The other thing you could do is you could press this little button up here that has a little clock on it, and that will bring up the timer mode. So currently you press it once, it comes up to 10 seconds. You could crank it up to 15, 20, 25, 30, and to however many seconds you want. We currently have it at 35. Then you could hit the button. And you know what? And then what happens is actually it counts down from 35 to 0 and then cuts off automatically. Right? So that's a manual or timed operation. The next way is the easiest ways, and the way I would encourage you guys to use this blender is they have actually 3 one-touch buttons. So all you gotta do is hit the one-touch button once for blending, or you could hit the one-touch button once for pulsing, or you could hit the button once for the combo mode. If you hit any of these buttons once, it'll run for 30 seconds and then stop automatically. So 30 seconds may be really good for an easy blend task, but most of the time you're going to want to hit the button twice to have the blender run a full minute, and then it'll turn off automatically. So we're going to go ahead and do the combo button and show you guys what that looks like, and we're going to hit it twice. We got it running for a minute, and it's counting down, and it runs at different speeds. So it blends, it lets things suck down, and then it blends high, stops, lets it suck down, blends. So this is good to prevent cavation and air bubbles and air pockets in the bottom. As you guys can hear, it's varying the speeds of the blender to get a complete and full blend every single time. Alright, so it ran about a 30-second cycle. I turned it off because I think we've massacred the marshmallows in there. But basically, you guys saw that, you know, when it was dry, I put marshmallows in, it expanded them. When I put the water in first, then put the marshmallows, it still expanded them. And when it expanded them, once again, it made them easier to get cut. And also, we're going to go ahead and pull this little cap here and listen carefully. Wow, did you guys see the volume of the carafe go down instantly? That's how it was expanded, so the blender was able to easily and more effectively cut up and blend up those marshmallows and the water. Now, I do not encourage you guys to drink the marshmallow water. Did we get all the suction out of there? Yeah. Because this is literally just high fructose corn syrup water. We're going to go ahead and pull that off. Wow, it smells like marshmallows. Let's go ahead and pour that consistency off. Now, marshmallows, they're not super hard to blend. But look at that. I mean, that's like marshmallow water. I see no traces of marshmallows left. Just a nice, thick, milky water. Do not, you could try this at home, but do not, whatever you do, drink this. This is probably going down the sink. It's not even going to go in my compost pile. It has like blue dyes and corn syrup. Anyways, yeah, so that is the power, and that is how the DynaPro blender works. Now, we're probably not getting too much oxidative damage in the marshmallows. I don't think there are any antioxidants in marshmallows to begin with anyways. So what I want to do next for you guys is actually come back with you and blend some actually Granny Smith apples in the DynaPro as well as a Vitamix to show you guys the results. So next is a test that is sure to show you guys actually the power of the vacuum blender to not only expand the fibers that you guys just saw, but also to minimize the oxidative damage to the fruit or vegetable that you're blending, to increase some of the different phytochemicals, phytonutrients, and vitamins in whatever you're blending. So for example, I've seen studies where they tested blueberries, for example. They blended them in a standard blender without vacuum, and then they blended them in a blender with vacuum. And on the blueberries specifically, vitamin A, which is actually an important nutrient, was 3.7 times more in the blender that did the vacuum blending. 3.7 times more. So, you know, instead of eating, you know, this many blueberries in the DynaPro, you're going to have to eat 3.7 times as many blueberries to get the same nutrition. One of the things that I've learned during my over 22 years in studying about health and learning about health for myself is that we want to eat the least amount of food with the most amount of nutrition. And that's one of the reasons why I grow my food, and another reason why I'm only using the vacuum blender now. So now I can have 3.7 times more vitamin A when I'm blending the blueberries. Even more so than just the vitamin A, which is a good vitamin unto itself, that's quite important, is the polyphenol content of the blueberries. In the polyphenol content of the blueberries, they did a study on that and tested it, and once again, the vacuum blender came out superior. It was 2.5 times more polyphenol in the vacuum blender versus the non-vacuum blender. So once again, think you could eat this many blueberries in the DynaBlend, or you could eat, you know, 2.5 times as many blueberries to get the same amount of nutrition. And I don't know if you guys price blueberries lately, but they're actually quite expensive. So the less you could buy, the more nutrients you could get out of them, the better. That being said, I do need to give you guys a disclaimer, right? The best way to eat your blueberries is actually not in a blender or even a vacuum blender, but it's just to take them, wash them, put them in your mouth, and chew. Let's not be lazy, and let's not forget eating our fruits and vegetables is the best way to do it. Unfortunately, when it's something like kale, that's maybe not as fun to eat as blueberries, that's where the blending can come in handy, so that you could eat some of these foods that you wouldn't normally make. I mean, for dinner tonight, actually in the DynaPro, I actually made green smoothies. So I used frozen bananas, fresh greens picked from my garden, some green powder, some coconut water, and made an amazing smoothie that had an amazing texture and kept significant higher quantities of the nutrients than in the standard blender. Now, of course, each nutrient is going to vary. In general, I would say that always, if you're blending fruits and vegetables, you're going to get higher nutrition in the vacuum blender. The question is how much. Every different vitamin and phytochemical are sensitive more or less to the oxidative damage caused by the vortex in the blender that's occurring. And so the more that they're damaged by the oxygen and the oxygen reactions, the more beneficial it is going to be to vacuum blend. Now, the test I'll be showing you guys today is actually, I'm going to be using the green apples. And as you guys know that have ever eaten an apple, once you bite into it and you set it down, maybe you forget about it, you come back and you look and it's brown. That's the oxidative damage that's occurring. And when you bite into an apple and eat it, the oxidative damage is not happening to the whole apple. It's just happening to the isolated area where you bit it and where it's being exposed to the air. So the rest of the apple is fully protected if you're not biting into it and chewing it. The problem is when you put it into a blender, right, it's like your mouth times 1,000, right? The whole apple goes in and instantly it gets totally fractionated. The blade's hitting it multiple times all the time during its running, and it's oxidizing significantly faster than you just biting it and setting it down. It's happening super quick, and that's why the vacuum blending is so much superior on things that oxidize quickly like apples. Now I know you might be thinking, John, they're coming out with some GMO apples that don't brown when you cut them, right? Well, just because they don't brown doesn't mean there's not still oxidative damage that's occurring, because the oxygen is getting in to the fruit, because there's oxidative damage we can see, and there's also, of course, oxidative damage, unfortunately, we can't see. So I do look forward to more studies coming out. I've gotten a bunch already from multiple different sources to cooperate or whatever, that there is a difference in blending. Sometimes in vacuum blending, sometimes the difference is not so much, but there always, in many cases, with many nutrients, there is going to be a difference, and the difference is going to, in general, favor the vacuum blending. I haven't seen any differences favor the standard blending yet. But overall, yeah, vacuum blending. So the test we're doing today is just simply one green apple out of the same bag, approximately the same weight, and we're just going to use coconut water. So a very standard blend. Let's go ahead and put these guys down and show you guys we filling them up here. So first we're just going to go ahead and open up this coconut water. I think that's about 400 milliliters here. Pour that in. Then we're going to go ahead and pour this coconut water in. I do encourage you guys to drink coconut water whenever you can instead of regular water. It's full of plant-based electrolytes or trace minerals that are easily absorbed. The next thing we're going to do is put in an apple. And so we're just going to go ahead and take a whole apple, and we're going to take an apple cutter here and slice this up into pieces. And we're just going to go ahead and dunk that in to the mixture. So we're not pre-treating the apple, we're not doing anything kind of fishy like that. Once again, we're going to go ahead and take this apple and cut it right up into pieces. And we're going to go ahead and take this and dunk it right in the blender. Alright, there we go. All done with that. We're going to go ahead and then put the top on this carafe, and now we're ready to blend. That was simple, wasn't it? Now we're going to take this, and this is pretty simple too. We're going to go ahead and make sure that the little handles on the lid is offset so it doesn't come in contact. We'll make sure we got a good seal. Make sure it's fully sealed. This is also very important. Make sure our little lid here is fully sealed as well. We're going to go ahead and take our vacuum pump, put it on, and we're just going to go ahead and pump it out. Now, if you look closely at this carafe, you might see some air bubbles coming up from the bottom. And because there's a lot of volume in here, we're going to have to be pumping this a whole bunch. And once again, if you're lazy, you got that hand-operated pump, but the hand-operated pump or a motor-based pump is not going to be as efficient in pulling as much vacuum as you guys can, with the pump, because you have a much larger stroke. I don't know if you guys could see it in there, but I'll do a close-up one of these upcoming shots. But you're seeing the air bubbles come out of the water. We're pulling some of that oxygen out. All right, I think I'm running out of steam here. We've been pumping for a good, I don't know, 30 seconds maybe. But yeah, with every pump, you know, it's pulling out more oxygen, and it gets to a point of a diminishing returns. I'm definitely feeling some resistance on the pump here, and feeling that, you know, and I'm slowing down a little bit because of the resistance. I'm feeling that, you know, we're probably pretty good here. So actually, the interesting thing is that although we filled it up to about 400 milliliters, and you know, the water line, it actually is a little bit more bigger now, because the fibers once again are being pushed out and pulled out and expanding. All right, I think we're done. So now that we got this under vacuum here, we're just going to go ahead and put this on the DynaPro. Make sure we're fully seated. Next thing we're going to do, the DynaPro. Oh wow. I'm hearing that. I'm hearing some of the suction in there. It's kind of trippy. Oh, we're wet up here, so we got a leak. So I'm going to have to fix that. Oh wow. We're probably good. There's really good suction on there, man. There's I left some water in there when I was cleaning it. So I'm hearing a little bit of a suction loss. Maybe we'll stop it and we'll clean it. But here, check out all this check out this when I suck it. Wow, that's some serious vacuum, man. So we're going to go ahead and dry this lid, and then I'm going to go ahead and re-suction it to make sure I got a nice good seal. All right, I got that lid dry there. So super important. This is something I just learned. when you wash this lid, make sure the little seal here that actually comes out, if you want to pull it out, is completely dry. Otherwise, you may not get an entirely good seal, and you're going to hear it like a little. It's like a little sucking sound, right? So we're going to go ahead and put that back on there. Make sure it's nice and tight. And now we're going to go ahead and get to suck a vacuum on it once again. Oh yeah, this time I want to kind of like pay attention on where the level is. So it's at 16, 18, 20. So, you know, the water line is at 20. Let's see if it actually moves up as I put a lot of suction on this. Alright, I think I'm about done. It's really cool when you're suctioning, you'll see air bubbles come out of the water. So we'll show you guys a close-up on that in a little bit when I'm doing another demo. Alright, I think we're good. Let's see what we're at. Okay, yeah, we're still at 20 on the water line. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Let's see if I hear anything. Alright, we're under good suction. So now that we got it all set up and ready to go, we're going to put this on a 30-second time setting. Cranked it up to high, and we're just going to flip it on high at the same time, so it runs both for 30 seconds while we put on the phone, the stopwatch on the iPhone, and we're going to play some music for you guys while this happens. Alright, start! Alright, stop them both at the same time, so now we got both of our blended mixtures. Next, let's go ahead and pour out the results into two nice large glasses so you guys can see the differences. Alright, first the Vitamix here, and maybe I'll try to give you guys a close-up on the pour here. I want you guys to see the texture here. So, you know, that's pretty good. Look at it in the glass. Look what it looks like, right? You see all those little air bubbles in there? See how that looks when we poured it, right? It was pretty smooth, actually. Vitamix did a fairly good job on that. Let's see how the DynaBlend was different. We're going to go ahead and take that off, and first we're going to pull out the suction, this little top here. Listen. Wow, lots of suction in there, man. Alright, we're going to lift off this top here. And now we're going to go ahead and pour this in the glass. Let's see if we could see the difference. Nice consistency. Oh man, DynaBlend definitely left some chunks in there. We probably could have blended longer, not quite as efficient. Yeah, I mean, these guys, to me, they look pretty similar. This one's actually a little bit darker. This one's a little bit lighter. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put those off, maybe to the side, maybe right here, while we get our next comparison ready to go. So now I'm back and I'm ready to run the next test on the Vitamix and the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. As you guys can see, this apple mixture has been sitting a while. The color hasn't changed too much, but what has changed is the consistency. So I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll hold these up closer to the camera. So this was from the DynaPro, and still, as I poured it, that's how pretty much it looks. It's pretty much consistent. All the fibers or whatever are evenly dispersed. They're not settling. A little bit of foam up at the top. Nice consistent color. But over here on the Vitamix, look what's happened. Because when you're blending in, basically the standard atmospheric pressure without being in a vacuum, it throws a lot of air bubbles into the mixture. These air bubbles blow and pop. They actually have more foam on the top. In addition, look at this. We get lots of separation in there. You guys look at that, man. It's like weird. Some of it floated to the top, some of it sunk to the bottom, and there's like a clear section in the middle. But look at this. Once again, DynaPro, much more consistent blend. And over time, I'm sure we'll also see some color changes as well. But the next thing I want to show you guys, also to show you guys some differences in blending under vacuum versus not, is with the tomatoes. So in this case, we used the apples and coconut water. Maybe if I used water, it would have maybe shown more of a dramatic effect. The other thing is, I probably should have maybe blended it, instead of for 30 seconds, do it for 1 full minute to make sure we get a complete blend on both blenders. And here's the thing, right? Normally with the standard blender, I encourage you guys to blend for as least time as possible. This will minimize the oxidative damage that's occurring during the blending, because the oxygen is just, running around and bouncing around in your blended mixture. Now under a vacuum blender, it's a little bit different, right? I'm not as concerned with the time, because under a vacuum, there's minimal oxidative damage happening, because you've pulled, the significant majority of the oxygen and air out of the carafe so that the damage does not happen. Now the fact of the matter is, you're not pulling all the air or all the oxygen out, despite some vacuum blender companies trying to sell you vacuum blenders. You're pulling a good percentage of the air and oxygen out. There's still oxygen and whatever sitting inside the fruit or vegetable that you're blending up. So yeah. So, so I'm not as concerned with running it for a longer time, to get a more consistent blend, if that's what I needed to do. So in any case, in this time, what we're going to be blending is like 5 tomatoes. So we're just going to go ahead and we have whole tomatoes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm putting them in whole to see how the TriBest DynaBlend will do at this task. Make sure the top is seated properly. And we're going to also throw them in the Vitamix a whole to see how the Vitamix can handle whole tomatoes, if at all. Normally some people might add water. I don't like to do that. I don't like to actually dilute my foods with water. I'd rather eat more food. So instead of putting some water in there, what I might do is mush up some tomatoes or cut them into pieces and then put them in there. But I thought I'd make it a little bit hard on the blenders, because I'm kind of lazy and I don't have to pre-cut stuff if I don't have to, right? So, once again, the Vitamix carafe is ready to go. We're not going to put any kind of vacuum on it. We can't. And once again, on the DynaBlend or DynaPro blender, we're going to go ahead and put a vacuum on that. So we're just going to suck it up, and probably you're not going to see any difference in the carafe, but what we're doing is we're pulling all the extra oxygen and air that's surrounding the tomatoes out. And so it's not going to probably look a bit different. Maybe if you look super close, you might see the tomatoes grow, expand a little bit, like the marshmallows grew a lot. The tomatoes probably aren't going to expand as much, but they're expanding maybe just a tiny bit. And we're going to go ahead and pump this up a bunch and get a nice vacuum on it. So speed this part up, Sandra, and play some music. Alright, I think I got a nice vacuum on it. We're going to go ahead and take this off. Next, we're going to go ahead and put that carafe on. I think this time we're going to blend for a full minute to make sure we get a good and proper blend and make sure that the Vitamix has enough time to hopefully work and get what it needs to get done. We're going to go ahead and, let's see, set this timer here up to 1 minute. It's on full speed. The other thing I could have did in the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender previously is maybe put it on a combo blend where it just doesn't run at high speed. It runs at different speeds to help get the mixture sucked into the blender. And likely I would do that in the future. But I wanted to have a fair comparison, and the Vitamix doesn't vary the speeds in this test, right? So I just want to run both on high just to kind of keep it even. So let's go ahead and hit the start button there. Gonna hit the start button, make sure we're up high, hit the start on this, hit the start on this. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys some of my observations on that. Both blenders ran the same amount of time. And I tried to point out, like, you know, the Vitamix inside there was very violent. It's like, you know, if you're on a ship in the ocean and there's like a rainstorm and the ocean waves are like going up and down, and basically what's happening is all the mixture in here, because of there's, you know, the atmospheric in there, normal pressure, it's just bouncing everywhere and it's getting the carafe messy, it's hitting and bouncing off the top. But if you look closely at the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender, basically the mixture stayed all at the bottom and, you know, had much more blade contact time and didn't get this carafe all messy. I mean, look at this carafe here. I mean, it's gotten up to the top and it's like all stuck on up there. But look at this carafe, right? It's nice and clean up at the top, right? So this just shows me that the DynaBlend under vacuum is a much more efficient blender, so you're getting more blade contact time, and also it's under vacuum, so you're not doing the oxidative damage either. So yeah, very interesting, right? And also, of course, you know, it's expanding the fibers, so it's really getting in there and fractionating things significantly better. So once again, you know, we're going to take this off, and I want you guys to listen to this. Listen to this. Lots of vacuum on there, right? Let's go ahead and lift this off here. Now I will say this is a nice firm fitting lid so that no vacuum's escaping, and that's why I recommend maybe like using two hands if this is down. You could put one finger on this little tab here, one finger on the other one, and or your thumb on this tab, and just push up, and then it easily pops out, right? Can be difficult at first, especially if you're not used to it. Alright, so we got both these blends here. Let's go ahead and pour these guys out. Let me move these to the side a little bit more. We got two identical bottles. Once again, you know, we're keeping the Vitamix over to this side and the DynaPro over to that side. Two similar bottles. Let's go ahead and first pour out the Vitamix mixture. Alright, I mean, that's pretty much what blended tomatoes look like, or maybe you're making a blended salad like I like to make, with basically tomatoes blended up, and then I put like kale and lettuce and some nuts and seeds and herbs and spices in there and blend it up, and that's pretty much the mixture. You know, is a bit thick. You know, on the top of the Vitamix carafe, you know, there's a bunch of chunks that you know, didn't get blended. That always happens. Once again, look at that carafe, lots of stuff at the top that didn't get blended. Next, let's go ahead and pour in the mixture from the DynaBlend. Now check this out, right? This is super impressive. As we pour this in, number one thing I want you guys to notice is the color. Number two is the consistency, right? It's a little bit like a little bit different texture, right? Now I started with similar amounts of tomatoes for both, but check this out. I mean, over on the Vitamix side, it actually has a little bit more quantity, and I believe that's because, you know, when you're blending, it's putting a lot of air bubbles and aerating whatever you're blending, so that actually creates more quantity of whatever you're blending. So for example, you could test this at home, right? Take your blender, fill it up to water to, you know, I don't know, 16 ounces, add some tomatoes in there, make it up to, you know, 24 ounces, blend it. When you come back, you're going to have like 26 ounces. Did you just instantly create 2 ounces of food? No. The mixture's, you know, more because it's put so much air bubbles and it raised up the level. And if you guys are super tasters or even not, you could taste when you're tasting it like, oh, there's a lot of air in there. And so if I was to taste this, it tastes a lot more like light and fluffy, which is the air bubbles in there, which may cause gas and bloating. But in the vacuum, that did not happen. It's not putting air into the mixture, so you're not going to get that. So let's just go ahead and we'll cap these guys off, and we're just going to go ahead and leave these to the side, and we're going to go ahead and just wait and see what happens over time with these two guys. Now, while we're waiting, I thought I'd show you guys some of the cleaning features and how the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender will literally clean itself. So now I want to show you guys actually how easy it is to clean the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender, right? Super simple, super easy. All you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take the DynaPro. You're going to go ahead and take, like I like to do, 32 ounces of water right into the carafe, and then just put, you know, a couple squirts of dish soap. So we got dish soap here in this little mason jar here. We're going to put 3 squirts in. 1, 2, 3. All right. 3 nice squirts. And then all we have to do is basically run the blender on high to get it clean. But to actually give you guys also a demonstration of how the vacuum function works is, first I'm going to actually suck vacuum on this. And I'm going to do a close-up actually of the carafe sucking vacuum on just the soap and the water, so you guys can see you know, what happens when I do that. You can see actually some of the air bubbles come out of the water. It's so amazing. So let's go ahead and put this down, and let me go ahead and do a close-up on the carafe, and we'll suck some vacuum out. Alright, so as you guys can see, there's the carafe. We got a nice close-up shot, and look closely on the carafe. So I'm starting to suck vacuum out. Look at the bottom. Look at those bubbles, man. Isn't that cool? I'm sucking literally some of the air out of the water. I mean, after all, water is H2O. We cannot forget, you know, H2O. Oxygen in the water. That's what water's made of. And we're sucking that out in our vacuum, so this means we're going to have less oxidation when we're blending. In addition, because we have soap in there, it's going to act very interestingly, and I want to be able to show you guys that too. So I'm going to keep cupping, and you guys could relax and look at some of those air bubbles being put up. It almost looks like a little fish tank with the air bubbler. Alright, just about done pumping here. As you guys can see, we got a lot of the air bubbles out. Totally impressive. Nice under suction. And you know, basically this is kind of an analogy, right? I want you guys to pay attention when I'm blending just the soap and the water under suction versus not, and what happens. And I want you guys to pay attention to like the blender carafe and how it looks during blending, and then also afterwards when I let the vacuum out and then also lift off the lid. So I think we're going to go ahead and just run this for like a 30-second blend on high. We're just going to crank it up to 30, and we're going to hit the start button, and then we'll just put some music on. You guys could see this in high speed and enjoy the music. Alright, so there you go. That was 30 seconds, and after blending with 3 squirts of soap, all the water under vacuum, this is what we got. We got a pitcher full of what looks like to be all the way full soap and water with lots of bubbles. Now check this out. We're going to go ahead and pull the vacuum off on this, and I want you guys to pay attention to what it looks like in there, right? As we pull that out. Oh my God, look at that, man. All the bubbles and everything instantly go down to the bottom, and you know, it's maybe above the 32-ounce line, because you know, once again, we put some air in there, all the blending action. But all the bubbles went down, and then we could just go ahead and simply lift this off and pour our soapy water out. Hopefully you could water your plants with it, as long as you use some soap that doesn't have extra additives. And rinse this out with some water, and you're done. Super simple, super easy. And that's how easy it is, and how this blender will auto-clean itself. Of course, this blender is also dishwasher safe. And so the next thing I want to do is actually we're going to go ahead and empty this out, and we're going to just go ahead and pour the same water, 3 squirts, and we're going to do the auto clean function without the vacuum to show you guys what happened. Alright, now we're back, and now I'm going to show you guys how to auto clean the DynaPro blender without being under vacuum. It's a lot easier, granted, and you know, I'm kind of just doing this to show you guys the differences. You could probably auto clean your blender without the vacuum. You probably don't need the vacuum, but you'll learn why I want to do this demo to show you guys what happens. Alright, so let's go ahead and once again, DynaPro empty, and it's kind of funny, I'm doing the auto clean feature and it's actually already clean, but nonetheless, you don't need to clean it and then do this. I would want you guys to do it with tomatoes or whatever in there. I'm just doing this because if I left tomatoes in there and did one with tomato remnants and one without, you'd be like, John, well, you did one with the tomato remnants in there and the other test you didn't have tomato remnants, and that might have changed it. So we basically got nothing but the clean water and 3 squirts, 1, 2, 3 of this pump soap here. We're going to go ahead and put that on there, and once again, just like we did before, we're just going to go ahead and put this on, but we're not going to put it under the vacuum. We're not going to see all those little bubbles come up, and once again, we're just going to go ahead and put it on a 30-second cycle, and we're going to hit start. We'll put some music on for you guys, and I want you guys to pay attention of what it looks like in the carafe as we blend. Alright, that's it. So, to me it looked pretty much the same when you're blending, but check this out. It also looks the same, but now we're not pulling a vacuum on it. Now we're just going to open this up. And wow, look at the difference. When I took off the top, it didn't just automatically sink down, right? What happens now is, I don't know if you guys can see that, but this basically is overflowing with bubbles. When I did this test before, I actually opened the top up, bubbles spilled out over the side on me. So, I mean, you could surely auto clean this blender, the vacuum blender, under vacuum or not. But the thing is this, why I wanted to do this demo is because all we had in here was water and soap. What does soap do? Soap creates bubbles when there's extra oxygen in there. And so what this is showing you guys is that when I put it under vacuum and took off the lid, it sunk back down and there's hardly any air bubbles left in there. Under a non-vacuum situation, look at all the air bubbles in there. Same exact blender, same everything. And what the air bubbles represent to me are all the oxygen that's floating around, that's blending in with your food if you're blending not under vacuum. And so this is all the air bubbles, right, is doing massive oxidative damage to the food. And with the soap just basically makes them a lot more so you could see them. And so that's pretty critical to me to see that, wow, man, it created a lot of air bubbles. And under vacuum, I mean, it created significantly less air bubbles, which means there's significantly less oxidative damage going on. That's once again because it's under vacuum. We pulled out all the extra air, so it cannot make all those extra bubbles that happens, you know, when you're blending not under vacuum. So yeah, that's actually pretty impressive there. Kind of reminds me of like that Brady Bunch episode with Bobby, you know, and he like gets dirty and then he puts all his clothes in the washer and he just like, oh, let's put a little soap in. And he's like, oh, that's not enough. My stuff's really dirty. He dumps it in and the whole room fills up with suds, right? Anyways, yeah, with the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender, you know, you're going to minimize the suds when blending and cleaning. Not really required because we're not drinking that, but it is required in my opinion if you want to have the highest quality nutrition coming out the fruits and vegetables that you guys are blending. Wow, so what did you guys think of just blending the water with the soap to see how many air bubbles were created to show that under a non-vacuum situation, much more air bubbles are actually in the blended mixture? That in this case for the soap and water is probably a good thing, but when you're blending your food, in my opinion, all that extra air and oxygen in there is a bad thing, is massively oxidizing your food. Now previously when I did the apple test, right, I used coconut water. This time I want to see if using just standard H2O makes a difference, because after all, water is part oxygen. And so we're going to use 16 ounces of water in each blender. Once again, the DynaPro will be under vacuum, the Vitamix will not, and this time we're going to blend a full minute to see if we have any different results. So I guess with that, let's go ahead and get this going here. In the Vitamix, once again, we got 16 ounces of water going right in. And we're going to go ahead and take our apple and we're going to go ahead and cut this up. Because I know if I just try to put the apple in whole in the Vitamix, it's going to sit and spin. It's not going to get blended up. I think in the DynaBlend it actually would blend, but then that wouldn't be fair because I want to show what happens to each once they're blended, not if they're being non-blended. Once again, we're going to go ahead and dunk these guys in there. And once again, in the DynaBlend here, we're going to go ahead and pour in all our water right here. Now, as a famous person once said, you know, when you put food inside a blender, or if you want to call them a nutrient extractor, whatever you want to call it, it basically turns the food inside out, so you get better digestion. And as he said also, you could make any food a superfood by putting it into a nutrient extractor or a high-power blender, whichever one that may be. Unfortunately, what he doesn't tell you is that when you're blending, especially at a high speed, you're bombarding whatever you're blending with oxygen that's going to degrade the food, that's going to lessen some of the beneficial properties of whatever you're blending. You know, the phytochemicals and phytonutrients, including some of the superfoods you might put in there that are very actually high in antioxidants. So you're going to be reducing those. So I would encourage you guys, once again, you know, we want to reduce those at all costs, and that's why I believe vacuum blending is the future for people and for those of us that are into health, into weight loss, into rebuilding your health, into fighting disease, whatever it may be. Once again, you know, I like to put every advantage into my corner, you know, when I have a health challenge. And that's why I got into everything I do now, because I almost lost my life when I was younger. So let's go ahead and close this up. Once again, make sure we're nice and tight. Oh, I gotta maybe move this over because I think we're a little bit too close to the lip here, and then it doesn't make a nice seal. All right, now we got a nice seal on there. Once again, we're gonna get our vacuum pump here, and we're gonna go ahead and pump you up. All right, so I pumped it about 70 times, and here's the ticket, what you want to look for, what I've just observed, right? Right when I started pumping it, the flap here was violently going up and down because I'm evacuating a lot of air. As I continued to pump more and more, basically that little flap on the top, the little valve, barely moved. So once I started seeing it barely moving, then it's like, all right, John, you could probably stop. You could probably put extra vacuum. It might be like marginally better, but pretty much for all practical purposes, you've gotten the extent of the vacuum out that you're going to get with the pump. And once again, I believe this pump will pump out more air than any kind of electric pump will, just due to the stroke is bigger and it's more powerful. So next, let's go ahead and make sure this is fully seated down on here, which it is. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn on the stopwatch so you guys can see. And we're going to leave this stopwatch running until the end of the video off to the side so you can see potentially any oxidative damage that occurs after your mixture has been blended. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the start, and we're going to hit the button on here. It's high speed, set for 1 minute, and we're just going to flip that on high for 1 minute as well. All right, start. All right, so as you guys saw, major faux pas there when I started. I forgot to put the top on the Vitamix. Another good reason to have the vacuum blender, because if you have the vacuum blender, you're going to put the top on so you can vacuum blend it. Doesn't happen too often. I'm just overly excited to do this demo. Oh, and I didn't even hit this or something on my phone. Let's hit back here. All right. All right, well, at least that's still running, so that's good. It's been running 1 minute and 37. And let's go ahead and get our bottles here. And we definitely don't have as much liquid there in the Vitamix side because some of it actually came out on me. But it's all good. So once again, let's go ahead and take this out and see how much liquid we actually got left. All right, still got a fair bit. Pretty smooth. There's some chunks in there for sure. And once again, you know, let's go ahead and pull the vacuum off and listen to this. Lots of vacuum sucked out, right? So we evacuated a lot of excess oxygen from the carafe. And we're going to go ahead and pour this in right here. And we'll fill that up to the same height. And then finally we're going to go ahead and cap this off here and see if we see any kind of major difference. In the meantime, I'll leave that running. I'm going to get cleaned up and clean the Vitamix explosion up. Alright, so now I want to recap on what's been going on. I got this place cleaned up, took me a little bit of time, and I'm reset and ready for what we're going to do next, which is actually something I've been curious about doing. Until now, I've always thought that to use a vacuum blender and use it effectively, you got to do something in liquid. What we're going to do next is actually do something dry, and we're going to grind up some flax seeds. But before we do that, actually, I want to give you guys an update with what's going on with our previous mixtures. So, since we blended up these apples here that we just did, it's been almost 18 minutes now. And to recap here, we blended these two guys up first. Once again, this side here is from the Vitamix, and you guys could clearly see mega separation. Also a big foam layer up at the top. This was just the coconut water with the Granny Smith apple. The foam layer on top is definitely darker, which means there's more oxidative damage to that. Up on the top of the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender here, there's significantly less foam. It's also not turning brown as quickly as over on this side. I don't even think it really even changed. We are also getting a little bit of separation on this one as well, but not nearly as bad as on the Vitamix. So that's actually quite interesting. Next, remind you guys, we got the tomatoes. We just blended a bunch of tomatoes. No water, no coconut water, no nothing. And over on this side, it created a little bit more. We had the Vitamix, and so, you know, it's more kind of pinkish color. And over on this side, right here, we got the DynaPro under the vacuum blend, and it's actually a lot more deeper, richer, redder color, which means, guess what? You're preserving more of those beneficial nutrients, such as the lycopene in there. And then next, this is where it gets really telling, right? We did this last, and this was the Vitamix that splashed over me. And look at the color on this. It's significantly darker. That's a much more oxidative damage going on compared to the DynaBlend under the vacuum. And in this test, we did Granny Smith apples and water. And so check it out, right? Here's what we can learn from this, because we did coconut water in Granny Smith apples, water in Granny Smith apples. Guess what you guys could do? If you guys can't afford a vacuum blender, even if you can, and you're not going to get one, minimally use coconut water to blend in instead of water. As you guys can see, there's significantly less oxidative damage for some reason due to the coconuts. Maybe some nutrients in the coconuts are preventing the oxidative damage, much like if you put blended apples with some lemon or something and it has some citric acid. And that'd be a really good thing. But if you're just blending with water, which I know many of you guys do, you know, just, oh, I just add water and blend up, John. Look at the damage you're getting, because when you're introducing water, it's H2O. You're adding oxygen in there. Causing a lot more damage, as you guys can see here. Anyways, let's move on to the next test here. What we're going to do is one of my favorite things to do is I like to take my whole flax seeds. I like to buy my flax seeds whole, because as you guys may or may not be aware of, once you crack open a flax seed and expose the inner seed to the air, you get oxidation. You know, in some cases, they basically extract the oil out of the flax seeds, and I don't necessarily recommend eating flax oil. I would much rather have you guys grind your own flax seeds, and when you do that, you make them more bioavailable. You're also, you know, making the oil easier to digest for you guys, as well as all the different lignins and fibers and other nutrients in the flax seeds besides just the fat. And I want to remind you guys that oil is 100% fat, like 120 calories per tablespoon. It's one of the most high-calorie foods with the lowest amount of nutrients. So I'd encourage you guys to grind your own flax seeds. So that's what I do. You know, I buy whole flax seeds, keep them in a cool, dry place, maybe even in the fridge, and then I grind them myself once in a while, and then I have like a little bottle in the fridge, so I grind them in a batch, keep them in the fridge, and like use them every night, and then maybe every week I grind more. I never grind like too much. But now I'm going to get to try to grind the flax seeds in a vacuum environment. Because the thing that happens is this, much like you're seeing the oxidative damage to the apple here that we blended in water, when you grind up the flax seeds and you expose them to air, you know, the fats could go rancid more quickly. So you want to minimize that by taking out all the extra air that you can. And that's what the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender will allow you to do. So we're just going to go ahead and pour a bunch of these flax seeds in there. And I have no idea what's going to happen, right? I'm learning as much as you guys. I mean, I got this machine just a few days ago. And I mean, normally I'd get machines a couple weeks before you guys would be able to do it, but you know, right now I got 10 of these machines available, and most of you guys are probably watching this video after it's been put up for a while, so I have these now in stock available all the time. And I definitely think this is a worthwhile investment. And let's go ahead and put the top on once again. Make sure we got a nice seal. And now get to do one of my favorite things, get some exercise before I blend. And we're going to pump this up. And I want you guys to just look at that and let's see what happens. Do the flax seeds float? What happens? I think this is going to work. Oh, I didn't have that on tight enough. Alright, I think we're done. I think I did maybe like 50 or 60 pumps real fast until the flap wasn't really moving. So now this is totally under vacuum. And let's see if we try to move these. Alright, yeah, they still move in there, no big deal. I think we should be able to blend under vacuum with just straight up flax seeds. So let's see. I think what I'm going to do this time is we're going to go ahead and hit a combo blend because I want it to blend at different speeds so that it's just not always on high, so the stuff could kind of get hit with the blades flapping in the air and then drop back down. Then we'll do it for 30 seconds, and then we'll kind of take a look and see what it looks like afterwards. Alright, hit the combo button once. Oh, we got to make sure our caraffe's all the way seated. Very important. It had an EO2, which must mean carafe is not on. Alright, let's hit the combo button. Alright, so that was 30 seconds. This is what we got. It looks like we got it pretty well ground up here. And if we shake this around, unlike if I did this on a Vitamix, you know, it would still be stuck to the sides. But that's not happening this time. It's nice and fluffy, actually. That being said, I think I do want to blend this a bit more, so I think I'm going to maybe do it manual style, and I'm probably just going to punch it up to like maximum. And I might feather the controller myself to kind of see if I can get it blended. It looks pretty good as it is, but I just want to get it just a tad bit finer for you guys. Well, and for me. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this on high and punch it. Alright, I think we're good, man. We got a pretty good blend in there, and check this out, right? We were able to blend dry flax seeds under vacuum. And listen, wow, that's the sign of freshness. We have more of the essential fats locked in there, and more importantly than just when you're processing the food and putting it under vacuum to process it, because it was under vacuum under processing, it's going to degrade less over time, as you guys could see with the apple juice, right? Once again, non-vacuum in the Vitamix, vacuum in the DynaPro vacuum blender, and over time it actually is not oxidized too much. Now, what I do recommend you guys to do is also, once you do take it out of the carafe here, you want to go ahead and put this in an airtight container. And let me go ahead and pour this out for you guys to show you guys the texture right of that. Look at that, man. This blender turned this flax seeds into literally flax dust. Wow, that's a powerful blender there. Looks pretty nice and fine here, and I'm not seeing any too major larger chunks. There's maybe a few cracked seeds, but not too many. We could have maybe run it a little bit longer, feathered it more, maybe put it up for a minute or so on the combo blend. So punch the combo blend twice, that would have done a little better. But to me, this is an amazing job, and let me smell it. Wow, smells nice and fragrant. And that's another thing that you're going to get. I'll probably do a taste test a little bit later with some of these guys to let you guys know if I could discern any difference. But I've experienced in the past when I've tasted vacuum blended mixtures that the tastes always taste a little bit more crisp, a lot more vibrant. You could really taste some of those herbs especially come through. I blended mint from my garden today, and normally when you blend up mint, you know, you need to add a lot just to get a little flavor, but now I didn't add so much, vacuum blended it, and there's a lot more minty flavor in the mixture. So yeah, success with the flax seeds. I think I want to do one last demo for you before I sign off for today to show you guys the power of the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. So the last thing I'd like to do in this episode today is something that can be quite challenging for many blenders, right? Most blenders, you might need to use a tamper or something to make some nut butter. I'm going to try to make nut butter in the DynaPro vacuum commercial blender under vacuum without being able to use a tamper. I mean, we could use a tamper, we could use a stainless steel stir stick, but then we wouldn't be under vacuum. Once again, when you're blending up fats, I would encourage you guys to use the vacuum feature if you're able. Now I'm going to be using straight macadamia nuts today, and these are dehydrated macadamia nuts, not roasted. Roasted would work better because they're higher oil content, but the raw macadamia nuts have lower oil content than roasted nuts in general. So if you want to make like a roasted peanut butter, that'd be super simple. Put it in here, put enough peanuts in there, blend it enough, and the oil would come out. It's probably going to work, provided you get a lot of good blade contact time. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to show you guys to see how it works. And what you could do if it wasn't working is you could probably put a bunch of mac nuts in there, macadamia nuts or any kind of nut, and then actually add some oil in there and then blend that up. And then if there's enough oil to get it spinning around, then that's going to work significantly better. I don't like to use extra extracted oils in my diet, so I'm going to try to do it with straight macadamia nuts and see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and take the DynaBlend off. Take off the top once again. We're going to go ahead and take in and pour a generous heaping portion of the macadamia nuts. Very important, right? If you just put a few macadamia nuts, it's not going to work because this blender crap is actually nice and large and wide and fat at the bottom. You're going to need to have a good quantity of nuts or anything you're blending. So, if you often make smoothies that are less than 32 ounces total, this may not be the blender for you. You're going to want to get another blender that actually has a smaller size craft that's going to be more efficient. I have heard that TriBest is working on a smaller craft for this blender. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come out or if it will come out. So we're just going to pour literally a bunch of macadamia nuts in there. We got it up to the 32 ounce mark, and that's quite a bit. And if it's going to work, it's going to work with this. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I want to show you guys what exactly happens. So once again, main benefit of the DynaPro vacuum blender, you could suck out the air. So once again, minimizing the rancidity of the fats inside there. All right, once again, I think we got about 60 or 70 pumps until really we just couldn't pull any more vacuum on there. It's like the capacity of the jug. All right, so we're good. Let's pull that off. I don't hear any leaks. That's a good thing. Gonna go ahead and put that on. And let's see, what are we gonna do here? I think probably best is a combo blend where it varies the rate of speed that it's blending, so it could blend it, let it chunk down. I think that worked pretty good on the Flax Seeds. So let's do it on the mac nuts. And we're going to have to go a little bit longer here. Maybe we're going to go for 2 minutes. So we'll just play some nice music and you guys can see what's going on as it's blending. Wow. It's amazing! I don't know if you guys saw that, but basically it turned the raw nuts without me using a tamper, without me even shaking it. I was sitting there, I was like, John, you should shake it. I'm like, no, I'm not shaking it, man. We got to see if this blender can perform. Now, it turned it into a nice mixture. Look at that, right? You guys can see that? Whoa, it's kind of smoothing down. Now, this is kind of like more of a crunchy nut butter. It's not fully blended, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put it on for another, I don't know, man. If we do like another 2 minutes, I'm good and solid. We're going to get a good nut butter. And once again, we're blending with most of the oxygen in the air removed out of the craft under vacuum. So we're going to do minimal damage to the oils and the healthy nutrients in the nuts. All right, so let's go ahead and hit. I like the combo button a lot because it really blended high speed and then it stopped to like nothing. And that's when it really chunked down. And then it went to high speed again, It's amazing. All right, let's go ahead. We'll hit it 4 more times. 1, 2. Wow, it just finished. I'm just totally amazed on how well that did. I mean, literally it turned raw macadamia nuts, not even roasted, and raw nuts can be quite difficult. That being said, I will say that macadamia nuts do have a higher percentage oil content than, say, almonds if you're trying to make your own almond butter. That being said, I would encourage you guys to do a mixture, do like half mac nuts, half almonds. It's probably going to work just as well as this. Now, here's the amazing thing is, all right? Okay, this is warm, right? Check this out. Oh, check it out, right? That little diamond there turned colors. I wasn't kind of paying attention, but that diamond changed color, so this has gotten above 118 degrees. So if you don't want it to get that hot, maybe you would want to run 30-second cycles and then let it rest for, you know, a period of time before running it again to let it cool down. Maybe even run it for 30 seconds, take it and put it in the freezer, let it chill out for a while, then come back and run it more if you're really, you know, concerned about the temperature. I wasn't paying attention, but just knowing that that's there, that's kind of cool that it actually did change color like it's supposed to. But even more important than just the temperature, I think the bombardment of oxygen being bombarded into the nuts to basically rancidify some of the fats in there is quite critical. We might be losing the enzymes in there, but these enzymes might already be lost depending on how hot the nuts were treated. But more importantly, we're going to preserve some of the fats because enzymes are just one factor in a food. Anyways, check this out. We're going to go ahead and pull this little plug here and listen. Wow. The sign of freshness, man. I mean, we have nice vacuum on there. Woo, I could even smell that coming out. All right, let's go ahead and pull that up. Wow, man. Check this stuff out. This is uber impressive. I've never seen another device to do it like this smooth, this creamy. Of course, you know, because it's under vacuum, it's basically expanding the fibers of the mat nut so it gets better cuts. And check this out, right? I mean, this is pouring. Look at this. Look at that, man. That's like pouring like a juice. It's pouring like a honey. Now, I do see some, you know, fibers, so it's like, you know, mostly smooth. There are some chunks. You could probably run it longer if you wanted to. But look at the consistency of that nut butter, man. That's so crazy. I mean, I've seen stone grinders run for like 8 hours to get a nut butter this creamy, just like you bought it at the store. And until now, I haven't found another device that actually does it this well. Look at this, man. This is like pouring out. I mean, this is what a true nut butter is. Wow. Super impressive. Nut butter in a juicer kind of grinds it up. Man, it just doesn't make it this like creamy. And look what's left. I mean, this stuff, I mean, it'd be amazing to do like raw desserts. Like I want to do under vacuum like young coconut meat, a little bit of water, and young coconut meat, coconut water, a vanilla bean, and a whole bunch of dates. It's going to probably make the lightest, most delectable texture and amazing flavors. You know, the one thing that I have noticed using the DynaPro blender is that, you know, sometimes it does leave some chunks in there. So maybe, you know, they could have some kind of fix on the blade so that like it gets more contact in the mixture as it's coming around. Because, I mean, we ran this for basically two-minute sessions, which is 4 minutes. And it did an amazing job, as you guys see, but it did leave some chunks in there. So I do hope that Trivest comes out with a smaller carafe. With, you know, instead of a large base at the bottom, I think that's one of the challenges with the large base. If they had a smaller base and a blade span that actually hit to the edges, I think it would do significantly better. So I'm really looking forward to that. But the favorite way I like to enjoy my nut butter that's, I mean, really nice and creamy, I like to just simply take a date. And we're just going to go ahead and cut this date in half here real quick. Remove the pit. And then we're going to go ahead and take some of this nut butter here. Look at that. Look at how, oh my God, look at that. I mean, this is like so creamy. This is the creamiest nut butter that I've ever made. I mean, I normally make like nut butter like the NutriBullet. It just doesn't come out this creamy. Oh my God, the vacuum blender is amazing. Yeah, just put this stuff inside a date here. This is one of the healthiest treats you guys could ever eat. I mean, if you guys like candy bars, right, eat some macadamia nut butter and dates. It's going to light you up. All right, I'm eating it. Wow. Man, that nut butter, it's so smooth, so creamy, so rich. And just knowing that I now probably have the healthiest nut butter on earth made under vacuum without the oxidative damage or rancidifying the fats in the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. Simply amazing. So what you guys may not realize is that it takes me long amount of times to basically do these demos, clean up the machines, get reset up, do something else, show you guys all this stuff. And I do this so that you don't have to, plus so that I know. I mean, I just got this machine. Some of these things that I've done and showed you guys is the first time I'm doing this, and I didn't know what the heck's going to happen. I'm learning as much as you guys are. you know, I know in the blender creations that I've made in here, the textures tasted a whole lot different, you know, than when I've done a standard, you know, blend like I have for most of my life. Until now, I haven't really been able to vacuum blend. It's been actually over an hour since I made actually this juice, and even longer for these. So I want to try to, like, you know, look in and check out where we're at. So these two juices right here, you could guys clearly see the difference. This is from the Vitamix. This is from the TriBest DynaPro blender. This one's definitely lighter. Now, what I do want to encourage you guys to do, although you are vacuum blending, very important to into the container you're putting it in, right? I chose not to fill this up to the top, and that was maybe not the best thing to do, because what I'm leaving in here is airspace or headspace that can then oxidize the food. So if you are filling up bottles, you want to actually fill them up to the brim so that there's no airspace, then cap it off very tightly. This will ensure you're preserving your smoothie, whatever you're blending up, for as long as possible, especially if you're taking it to work or whatever. So keep it cold. The other thing that's kind of cool is once you put a vacuum on this, you blend it, you could actually just take the whole carafe with you, keep it under vacuum, so it's going to be preserved the most as possible, and then only release the vacuum right before you're going to drink it. So that's also something valuable you guys can do with the TriBest DynaPro blender. So yeah, we saw the difference in these. It definitely does make a difference. We did have some separation. Finally, it just took some time over here. Next, we got the tomatoes. So once again, this is the tomatoes, significantly redder from the DynaPro under the vacuum blending, and you know, a lot more ruddy looking. So one of the things I've noticed is, you know, I use a lot of recipes with like fresh tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, and people would comment on my Instagram pictures, "John, that looks like diarrhea." And that's because the rapid oxidation of the tomatoes and the sun-dried tomatoes make it turn brown in an unappealing color. But now I'm able to vacuum blend and check out the color vibrancy, man. It's a lot more nice, deep, rich red, which is going to look better for my Instagram pictures, but also, more importantly, I'm going to be getting more nutrition into me, and that's why I do all this stuff here. The other thing that might be interesting is, I don't know, if we kind of move this around, it's probably pretty similar. But yeah, I've heard also that, you know, sometimes it'll pour a little bit easier and it won't be gloppy as much on these guys. So yeah. Oh, and then on these guys, once again, the coconut, I mean, that's a ticket. If you guys can't afford or don't want to get a vacuum blender, stop using water. Significantly more oxidation with the water. Use coconut water. As you guys could see, I mean, over on this side, once again, we have the vacuum blender. And look at the top. I don't know if you guys can see the top too good there. But I mean, it's still pretty white on the top of this. You know, it's significantly more foam and it's a lot more oxidized. But the colors, you know, look fairly similar. We've had a lot more separation, of course, on the Vitamix side. Now, finally, what I'd like to do is actually just, I like to strain out the pulp that each one generated, and I'm going to weigh the pulp to see how efficient each blender was. So once again, this is the Vitamix side. We're going to go ahead and pour this out and show you guys what it looks like. Comes out kind of thick. Now we got the water layer coming right out, coming right through. Then once again, it's kind of thick again. And we'll pour all this stuff out. This was the Vitamix. Oh, and yeah, we got a lot of junk at the bottom here. Not coming out. All right, come on out, guys. All right, man, we got stuff at the bottom stuck in there. All right, let's go ahead and pour out the TriBest. All right, I mean, we got definitely some pieces, bigger chunks in some cases. Let's go ahead and try to swish this around this time so we get that stuff on the bottom out. All right, we got a lot of the stuff on the bottom out. Maybe we'll do this. We'll pour some of this stuff back in. And we're going to go ahead and swish that around to get the stuff on the bottom out. All right, got it out. Now we're going to shake these guys down, and I'm using a really fine sieve here to keep as much pulp in the top as possible. This will really tell us how efficient the blender was, and you know, maybe both these left the same amount of pulp and they didn't grind it up into a nice fine particle size. I mean, both at 0 grams. We're going to go ahead and, I think we got most of the juice out of that. It's not dripping anymore. Going to go ahead and weigh this guy. 167 grams. I think the little sieve is about 80 grams approximately. And then over on this side, 147 grams. So 27 grams more on the DynaPro vacuum blender. So it wasn't quite as efficient blending. Left a little bit more larger chunks. But check this out, right? Once again, you know, we sieved that out. Still lots of foam and air bubbles in there. And this one actually has a significantly less foam. But look at the color difference on that. You kind of see the color difference? So to me, this one looks a tad bit lighter than this one, which is a tad bit darker, which would mean, you know, this oxidized a little bit more, but nowhere near the oxidation, you know, of the apples and the water. So actually, that was quite impressive. So now what I want to do finally is actually start tasting some of these guys that were made in each of the blenders. First, we're going to go ahead and taste the Vitamix blender here. You know, and it has, you know, some of those air bubbles in there. So actually, you know what? I feel some particulate in there, so the Vitamix was so good it grinded up some of the different things, some of the, you know, fiber in there, and actually it went through the sieve and put it into the juice, which is good, but also having more of a mouth feel after sieving it out or straining it out. Also kind of felt like maybe some air bubbles. It was kind of like more thick. I don't know. Now we're going to go ahead and taste the one from the DynaPro. It's a lot more clean, right? I'm not tasting all the little bits in there. And overall, it just tastes a little bit better than the Vitamix side. I think I want to go ahead and get into tasting some of these guys now. So this is the Vitamix made tomatoes blended up. Wow, that's been sitting a while. It's not very good. There's like a lot of aeration, a really low flavor. I mean, I taste that it's tomatoes, but it's like, it tastes really like diminished. Let's go ahead and taste the one that's a lot darker, made in the DynaPro. Let's see if that tastes different. Yeah, definitely tastes different. So more particulate, number one. Number two, it doesn't taste quite as aerated, right? I guess that's the only thing I'd say. Also, the flavor's a tad bit better. I'm not going to say it's like huge difference, but if you're a super taster, you'd be able to taste it. Next, let's see here. We're going to taste the apple juice and water, or apple and water blended in the Vitamix. And I think on this, we're mainly going to be drinking off the top, the separation. Maybe I'll shake it up, actually. Actually, that'll be interesting. We shook that one up. That's the Vitamix. Let's shake up the one from the DynaPro. And can you guys see the color difference? I can see the color difference, right? DynaPro, lighter. Vitamix, darker. More oxidation in the Vitamix. That's a Vitamix. Wow, got a big chunk. I mean, to me, this doesn't taste so good. Apples and water. Okay, DynaPro. Yeah, some bits in there too. Yeah, both those, like, I mean, they've been sitting like an hour. They really don't taste so good for me. I mean, they both kind of been oxidized. The one with the coconut water tastes significantly better. So if you don't learn anything else, start blending in coconut water, guys. So, I mean, now I want to actually give you guys my summary and, you know, my opinions on the DynaPro. Okay, so first opinion was that I'm actually quite amazed and impressed at what I could do with the DynaPro. I mean, I just started playing with this. I can't wait to play with this more. And be sure to click that subscribe button to stay tuned and get notified when I come out with new and exciting episodes. I'll be sure to have a bunch of videos with the DynaPro commercial vacuum blender as I use it more and as I find out other cool things it could do. I mean, the sky's the limit. This opens up, if you're especially into culinary, into chefing, this opens up whole new areas of creating new textures that you were unable to do in standard atmospheric, blenders with the vacuum blender, because things just work a little bit differently. It'll change that texture. I was never able to make a nut butter this creamy in any other blender before. Plus, also, I'm preserving the healthy fats in there. The other thing that's really cool is it's going to preserve higher levels of nutrition and nutrients. Also, you're going to get better flavors and tastes. And yeah, of course, the texture, also very critical. It's going to kind of make a little bit different texture than what you're used to, and it's not going to be aerating whatever you're blending up, whether that's a green smoothie, a blended salad, or even some nut butters or some nut cheese. So that's really cool. And of course, the nutrition is really probably one of the most important factors to me. Now, the question is, John, should I buy this new vacuum blender, right? So here's my opinion, right? If you guys have a Vitamix now, I would encourage you guys to get rid and sell your Vitamix now before everybody knows about the vacuum blenders and the price drops down because nobody wants the Vitamix anymore, right? On some level, the Vitamix is better than this in just sheer blending power. It kind of like left it a smoother consistency than the DynaPro, and I think that's mainly because of maybe the carafe shape. And if I used the large carafe on the Vitamix, maybe it would have happened the same. I did use a 48-ounce smaller carafe that has a smaller neck at the bottom, so that may play into some of the differences personally. It was a 20 grams difference mainly on the pulp generated in the apples and the coconut water. Also, I just noticed, the texture difference. So like this is the Vitamix, and although the Vitamix actually has a lighter color in there and it's oxidized more, it did actually do a fairly good job at grinding the seeds. Whereas on the DynaPro, I'm seeing a lot of seeds that are actually unblended. So is that happening because the rotational speed is not fast enough? Is that happening because the blades on here are not quite sharp enough? I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to have to look at it more and play with it. I did feel the blades in there, and they kind of feel more like a beater blade, much like more in a blend tech that beats more and doesn't try to get as fine as a consistency as a Vitamix. So that may be happening on that. Nonetheless, right, I really like this blender. I'm glad it's out. At present time, it's my favorite vacuum blender. Actually, it's the only vacuum blender out there. I do like that it does have a larger carafe, and I really like that instead of just an electric pump, it actually has a manual pump, because I'm able to get a much higher levels of vacuum on the container than motorized pump would, because the motorized pump, they have little diaphragms in there, and they're not going to have a nice large diaphragm or a large stroke, like this pump here. Plus, I kind of like getting some exercise, and I kind of like the feedback of looking at the flap as I'm pumping it to make sure I have maximum vacuum instead of just, the vacuum that turns on some of those automatic machines that are going to come out might only run for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, and it's not going to actually test the vacuum actually going on in the, vessel that you're vacuuming out. I guess the other thing I'd like to say is that, if you maybe blend once or twice a week, I would say save your money. Keep your Vitamix, keep whatever you guys got, because you don't really blend that much, right? Now, the caveats are, if you guys blend more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, you guys probably want to get the TriBest DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. Why? Think about it, man. I mean, even if you just blend blueberries or whatever you're blending, if you get twice as many nutrients in whatever you're blending, that means you could eat that much less food to get that many nutrients. And if you eat the same volume of food, whether you blend it in this or whether you blend it in something else, you're getting 2 times, 3 times more of certain nutrients. And I think that's critical, because that could mean the difference between being healthy or being unhealthy, because you're not getting all the phytonutrients and phytochemicals in the fruits and vegetables that you're hopefully eating for your health in the first place. The other thing I like to say is that if you're in a health nut, like I'm a health nut, I got into this because I almost lost my life, and if you almost lost your life, you're fighting a disease or illness, I want to have every possible advantage in my corner. I want to have aces up my sleeve so that I'm always going to win that card game if you're into playing cards, right? And, this is just another advantage to me. And especially, if you have the money to invest in this, it's a no-brainer. You guys need to do that if you're into your health, right? And if it's a stretch for you, right, and you're saving up for a Vitamix, I would definitely spend the extra $100 to get this, although the blending capacity wasn't quite as good. You're doing it in oxygen, more oxygen-free environment. so you're going to keep more nutrients. Plus, some of the blends that I did, amazing textures, less air in there, less gas, less bloating. I think that's pretty huge as well. Plus, the other thing we cannot forget about is that this warranty is the longest warranty in the industry at this time. 15 years. I'm amazed that TryBest did that. Vitamix is only 10, so that's a 50% longer warranty on this guy. Although it's $100 more, you know, spread out $100 over 5 years, that's only $20 extra a year, so that you can have a blender that is guaranteed to be working. And so I think, you know, you can't put a price on your health. So yes, this is one of the most expensive blenders out there, but it has some unique features that I believe over time will pay for itself, because you'll actually be able to buy less food and have higher quality of the nutrients when you are blending. You know, and that's one of my main reasons why I haven't liked blending so much until now, because every time I blended, I knew I was oxidizing some of the nutrients, and now I know I could preserve the most in the TryBest DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. Now you might be thinking, John, should I get a slow juicer or a vacuum blender first? That's a really tough question for me. You know, I think both are the best in the markets, and at this time, I still personally, depending on what I'm doing, but overall, I still prefer a slow juicer. The main reason is because, once again, you know, even with the blender under vacuum, there's multiple blade hits inside, so that's going to oxidize your food more. Plus, the other thing is that in the blender, you're going to get 100% of whatever you're blending. So if you blend up 1 pound of carrots, you're going to get 1 pound of carrot mush, despite being in an oxygen-free environment. With a slow juicer, the one I like runs at a slow 40-something RPMs, and you know, you could put the carrots in, it hits the carrots, it extracts the juice, you could then drink the juice, and I could put, you know, 5 pounds of carrots and get 5 cups of juice, which would probably be maybe roughly equivalent of the same volume of a pound of carrot pulp that you would eat. So I'm going to get significantly more nutrients in from the slow juice than from a vacuum blender. So for that reason, I like it a little bit more. Plus, I probably prefer and enjoy more drinking, you know, carrot juice than carrot mush made in any blender, even if it is a vacuum blender. But that being said, get both. Get the slow juicer first, then get the vacuum blender next, and you'll be set up with the best kitchen appliances for life. I guess that's pretty much all I got for this episode at this time. I really like the unit. Oh, and I do want to make some recommendations to TryBest out there. You know, I would encourage you guys to make another carafe that's a smaller size and test it and make sure you're getting better blends on some of the things. Number 2, I want you guys to include a nice spatula. So a nice spatula so you can spatula out all the expensive nut butters that people can make in their unit. I think that'd be a good idea. And yeah, finally, I mean, you could do some things with this blender that you guys simply can't do with any other, so I think that definitely goes in part to justify the price as well as the long warranty. And it seems like a nice, solid, durable machine that's going to last at least 15 years, because that's what the warranty's for. And I mean, another thing is, a lot of places try to sell you extended warranties. Why buy an extended warranty when you have a 15-year long warranty anyways? And think if your iPhone had a 15-year long warranty. It'd be amazing. And you guys spend a lot, even more money for an iPhone than this unit right here. But yeah, this is just for people that are serious about their health. I mean, that's what TryBest's logo is, making healthy living easy, and I think they've accomplished that with their new DynaPro commercial vacuum blender. So if you're interested in buying this DynaPro commercial vacuum blender, be sure to check that link right down below. That'll take you to our page. You guys could buy it and check out. Also, be sure to use the coupon code for limited time, DynaPro25, that's all capitals, DYNAPRO 25. That'll give you guys a $25 off discount off our already discounted price on the DynaPro blender by TryBest. In addition, we do have a price match policy, so if you find it lower somewhere else, I will match the price. Just shoot me an email to let me know. And also, I'd encourage you guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, it took me several hours to make. You know, please support me in my work so I continue to make these educational videos on YouTube so you guys could know the truth about these devices. You know, I show the pros and the cons of every device, and that's just what it is. Yeah. And I enjoy doing it, and I appreciate you guys that have supported me in the past, and I appreciate you guys that will support me in the future. Also, if you want more videos with the DynaPro commercial blender, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. That'll encourage me to make more videos with this as I learn more and try new and cool things with it. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming episodes that may feature the DynaPro or other commercial vacuum blenders in the future. Also, be sure to check my past episodes, over 500 episodes on this YouTube channel demonstrating slow juicers, blenders, now vacuum blenders, and dehydrators, so you guys can get the right appliance for you so you can process and eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and other plant foods in your life. And finally, be sure to share this video. If you guys know somebody with a Vitamix and they always say, oh, the Vitamix is the best, give them this video so they can truly see that, in my opinion, the DynaPro is better than the Vitamix because it preserves more nutrients, and that's probably one of the most important reasons for why I eat, and actually also why I'm here. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube.